Okay, so what we are going to study today is called as something by a name constrained motion. Specifically, like we did so many things from so many days, and we are going to understand. We are going to put all of these things together to a particular kind of set of problems. This appears only for bodies which are connected with thread and which which are connected by threads. So there are two parts of this constraint motion. I'll tell you what are the first things. First thing is bodies which are connected by threads, and second thing is the body is moving on top of each other or something like that, like bodies on bodies, you can say. Okay, so there are two topics of this constraint motion. We call this as bodies on bodies as waist constraint. Okay, constraint basically, and the threads as string constraint. String is a power of our energy, वही वाला कॉन्सेप्ट है ना. दुबई में भी स्ट्रिंग वगैरह का प्रचार आता है क्या? एडवर्टाइजमेंट स्ट्रिंग है ना. इंडिया में तो माउंटेन ड्यू स्ट्रिंग ही चल रहा है भाई, है ना. So basically what we are going to study today is constraint motion, and first we'll have to understand this word constraint means what. Can you just tell me what is called as constraint? What is the meaning of this word constraint? Okay, so we are going to go a depth analysis of it, means it will go to a little bit good level, means whatever we have studied we didn't picked up like too much good questions, but including this topic after that the things will be a little bit picked up in a very good sense. Okay, so we are going to bring something called as constrained motion. The another name for this is called as also restricted motion. The word constraint itself means restricted. मतलब जैसे मान लो कोई चीज रुक, मतलब हम कोई चीज एक बाउंडेड फॉर्म में करते हैं. जैसे हमारे मम्मी पापा होते हैं ना, हमें बोलते हैं ना, बेटा तुम इधर नहीं जाओगे, बेटा तुम उधर नहीं जाओगे, बेटा तुम पार्टी नहीं करोगे, तुम्हारी उम्र कम है, बेटा तुम ये नहीं पहनोगे, बेटा तुम वो नहीं पहनोगे. So these all things. Yeah, so basically, motion which is contained by some kind of restrictions, you can say, are going to be called as constrained motion. So basically, those motions which are governed by some rules, by some rules, and those rules are always correct. Those rules are always followed. That's why we call it as constrained motion. Are you able to get me or not? So motion which will be constrained, motions which will be followed by some rules, or motions which are restricted by some rules are going to be called as constrained motion. So we are going to bring some of that, and the first one of that is called as string constant. Okay, so we'll understand what is this word mean. Like if I have string constraints, so you know that I can connect any of the two blocks by two thread, like a thread or something like that. Like if I can connect, let's suppose there is a block, and then I connect the another block with this. So let's suppose this is M1 and this is M2. I started moving M2, then what will happen with the M1? That's the thing which this rule will bring. Okay, so we are going to understand the first topic which is called as string constant. मतलब इस धागे की constant, धागे की rule. Are you able to get me or not? मतलब अगर मान लो, if I am moving and if I attach myself with a thread, then the rules of the thread will be applicable on me, and then I'm going to be called as I'm following which motion? String constant motion. Are you able to get me or not? So let us understand what are those two rules. So let's suppose if I attach two bodies with some kind of a thread, then the first rule says that this thread is going to be inextensible in nature. First rule क्या रहेगा? Means this thread is going to be inextensible. Means there should never be a change in the length of the thread. Means whenever in the length of thread, I'll explain this. लाइक आई अटैच टू बॉडीज विद अ थ्रेड, तो पहला रूल क्या बनता है कि ये थ्रेड कैसा होना चाहिए, इनएक्सटेंसिबल होना चाहिए, मतलब कुछ भी फोर्स लगा लो इसकी लेंथ में कोई चेंज नहीं होनी चाहिए, लेंथ कैसा रहना चाहिए, हरदम फिक्स्ड। मतलब अगर मान लो इसकी एक्सेलरेशन a1 है और इसकी एक्सेलरेशन अगर a2 है और लेंथ अगर चेंज नहीं हो रहा है, तो इसका मतलब क्या हुआ कि a1 बराबर a2 होना चाहिए। यस, मतलब जितना लेंथ ये आगे बढ़ेगा उतना ही लेंथ m1 को भी बढ़ना पड़ेगा, ताकि सो दैट द लेंथ ऑफ द थ्रेड विल नेवर एवर चेंज। आर एबल टू गेट मी और नॉट? और द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज, like the length will never ever change if this displaces by some distance x2, and if this displaces by some distance x1, then if the length did not needs to be changed, then it says that x1 must be equal to x2. So first rule says that x1 must be equal to how much, x2. The second rule says that if this thread is present over here, you took a thread, very very good, awesome thing, you attached with the thread, now it has become nice. Like अगर मान लो कुएं में से पानी निकालना है तो हम थ्रेड का ही यूज करेंगे, है ना? अगर मान लो कुआं है, कुएं के अंदर से पानी निकालोगे तो थ्रेड का ही यूज करोगे ना, अगर थ्रेड नहीं रहेगा तो पानी निकाल पाओगे क्या? नहीं। तो बेसिकली अपन हम समझना चाहते हैं कि ये थ्रेड के साथ और क्या हो सकता है। तो पहली चीज इनएक्सटेंसिबल थी, दूसरी चीज है टॉट। द वर्ड टॉट, इसका मतलब होता है कि एट ऑल कंडीशन और इन ऑल कंडीशंस द थ्रेड मस्ट बी टाइट ऑलवेज, द थ्रेड मस्ट बी टाइट। मतलब सेकंड प्रॉपर्टी क्या बोलता है कि जो स्ट्रिंग रहनी चाहिए वो हरदम ही हरदम कैसी रहनी चाहिए, टाइट। ऐसा नहीं हो सकता है कि बीच में स्ट्रिंग ऐसे हो गया वाह 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 वाह, दिस इज इनकरेक्ट फॉर्म, आर यू एबल टू गेट मी और नॉट? या फिर ऐसा हो गया, ऐसा झुक गया, है ना? ऐसा कुछ नहीं होना चाहिए स्ट्रिंग के अंदर, और तभी हम बोल पाएंगे कि द बॉडी इज फॉलोइंग न्यूटन्स लॉज ऑफ मोशन आल्सो। आर यू एबल टू गेट मी और नॉट? Yes, so the two properties appears for these bodies which are connected by a thread. First one is inextensible, second one is taut. Means the thread should never ever be changing its length. The second thing is the thread should always be tight. Now, if the thread is always tight, then the condition applies that whatsoever displacement you've done of x2 in time t must be same for the displacement x1 also. So if I differentiate with respect to time, both of these quantities must be always how much, same. That is what velocity of 1 is equal to v of 2, or you can say if I double differentiate velocity, then I get acceleration of 1 must be equal to acceleration of 2. So these two properties and these two properties appears when the string is provided by a rule that it must be inextensible, and second one is dot. Are you able to get me or not? Yes, is that clear? So let us come to the first format of that, and we call this first format as first format when a string is fixed between the blocks. Are you able to get me or not? 1 minute. Let me have a flow of that. Okay, so if this string is going to be fixed over here, then what will happen? Basically, if I provide the block B some velocity V, then all the points of this block, let me just enhance this. Yeah, now it is good. So basically, if I just try to move this block B with some kind of velocity V, every point on this block, whatsoever point is there, all will try to move with the same velocity of the pulling force or not. बोलो हाँ है ना? Is that clear? ठीक, तो अब ध्यान से देखो, तो अगर थ्रेड भी तो अटैच्ड है ना, थ्रेड में क्या है, थ्रेड को हरदम कैसा रहना है, टाइट। तो जितने सारे पार्टिकल्स होंगे वो क्या एक्वायर करेंगे, सेम वेलोसिटी एक्वायर करेंगे। Yes. Are you able to get me or not? So what do you observe that the particular यहाँ पे हुआ क्या कि basically the thread acquires the velocity of first block. Is that clear or not? मतलब मान लो ये फर्स्ट ब्लॉक है और ये कौन सी ब्लॉक है, सेकंड ब्लॉक। तो जो थ्रेड की वेलोसिटी है वो किधर की ओर चलना स्टार्ट हुई, फर्स्ट ब्लॉक के तरफ। अब सोचो जरा, ये थ्रेड तो ब्लॉक ए के साथ अटैच्ड है ना, तो ब्लॉक ए क्या करेगा, ब्लॉक ए भी सामने की ओर बढ़ना, इट विल मूव सामने की ओर जाना स्टार्ट करेगा। अब मान लो ब्लॉक ऐसे था, ठीक, और मैंने ऐसा थ्रेड लगा दिया। अब ब्लॉक किधर की ओर मूव करना स्टार्ट करेगा? ब्लॉक सामने जाएगा या फिर थ्रेड के डायरेक्शन में जाने की कोशिश करेगा? मैं बोला कि पहले तो थ्रेड हॉरिजॉन्टल था तो बहुत अच्छा, बहुत बात बराबर, तुमने बोल दिया ब्लॉक सामने मूव करेगा। अभी जो ब्लॉक है वो किधर जाएगा अगर थ्रेड ऐसे अटैच है और थ्रेड की वेलोसिटी इस डायरेक्शन में है? Velocity के डायरेक्शन में बेसिकली व्हाट विल हैपन इज दैट दिस ब्लॉक 2 is going to acquire block 2 will acquire a velocity which will be equivalent in the direction of thread, equivalent in the direction of thread। तुम खुद सोचो, ब्लॉक ए को चलना कहाँ चाहिए? अगर स्ट्रिंग को टाइट रखना है तो ब्लॉक ए को उसी थ्रेड के डायरेक्शन में चलना होगा ताकि स्ट्रिंग ऑलवेज टाइट रहे, है कि नहीं? Yes, and that too with the same velocity of the thread. So whatever will be the velocity of block K, that should must balance with the velocity of thread. And velocity of thread is created by my first block. Are you able to get me or not? Yes. So yeah, V of B you can say. So basically V of A becomes how much? V of B. So this is how it appears. It does not mean that velocity of A will be equal to velocity of B. No, velocity of A is equal to velocity of thread. And velocity of thread is created by velocity of B. Is that clear or not? Understood? मेरी बात समझ में आ रही है? तो मान लो एक क्वेश्चन पकड़ते हैं। मान लो एक ब्लॉक है B जो कि वेलोसिटी V के साथ आगे बढ़ा, तो बताओ वेलोसिटी ऑफ A कितना होगा? What should be the velocity of A? जल्दी जल्दी बताओ, टाइम नहीं है। It will be V in which direction? Downward direction. Basically, the thread starts to move with same velocity. Each point of the thread will have same velocity, and therefore the A will try to cover the velocity in which direction? Thread's direction, which is downward. Are you able to get me or not? Yes. So remember that every point of the thread moves with same magnitude of velocity. Same magnitude of velocity. Are you able to get me or not? हर पॉइंट की जो वेलोसिटी रहेगी थ्रेड के अंदर, उस सारे वेलोसिटी का मैग्नीट्यूड कैसा रहेगा? हरदम सेम, ऑल्दो इफ यू चेंज द डायरेक्शन। इफ द डायरेक्शन ऑफ थ्रेड इज नॉट लीनियर। इज दैट क्लियर और नॉट? मतलब अगर डायरेक्शन ऑफ थ्रेड सीधा नहीं है फिर भी जो वेलोसिटी ऑफ पार्टिकल्स रहेगी, उन सारे, अगर मान लो इस तरह का थ्रेड है तो इसमें भी जो सारे पॉइंट्स की जो वेलोसिटी रहेगी ऑलवेज कैसी रहेगी? सेम। ऑलवेज कैसे रहेगा? बराबर रहेगा। इज दैट क्लियर और नॉट? मेरी बात समझ में आ रही है? तो मानो एक सेकेंड एग्जांपल पकड़ते हैं। मान लो एक ब्लॉक ए है, एक ब्लॉक बी है, देन फाइंड द वेलोसिटी ऑफ ब्लॉक बी इफ ब्लॉक ए इज पुल्ड विद स्पीड ऑफ 8 मीटर पर सेकंड टुवर्ड्स लेफ्ट। हाँ, find the velocity of B. That should be how much? 8. That should be how much? 8. How much that should be? Think. Why I should say? इसका क्या होगा? तो ध्यान से देखो, अगर मान लो ए 8 मीटर पर सेकेंड से इधर चलना स्टार्ट हुआ, तो ये जो थ्रेड है, जो थ्रेड की ये जो पॉइंट ऑफ कांटेक्ट है थ्रेड की, उसकी वेलोसिटी कितनी होगी, 8 मीटर पर सेकेंड। और ये हर पॉइंट की वेलोसिटी कैसी रहेगी, सेम। तुम्हें मालूम है कि ये थ्रेड यहाँ से ऊपर खींचेगा कितने वेलोसिटी के साथ, 8 मीटर पर सेकेंड। तो वेलोसिटी ऑफ बी कैसा है, अगर मान लो ये वेलोसिटी ऑफ बी है, तो इस डायरेक्शन में, थ्रेड के डायरेक्शन में जो वेलोसिटी ऑफ बी होगा वो कितना होगा, वी ऑफ बी इंटू कॉस 37। और परपेंडिकुलर टू थ्रेड कितना होगा, वी ऑफ बी इंटू साइन 37। तो हमें मालूम है ना कि जो भी ब्लॉक होगा उसका वेलोसिटी थ्रेड के डायरेक्शन में कैसा रहेगा, सेम। कैसा रहेगा, सेम। तो बेसिकली हम क्या लिख सकते हैं, v ऑफ b इंटू कॉस 37 मस्ट बी इक्वल, इज दैट क्लियर। v ऑफ b cos 37 की वैल्यू कितनी हो गई, 4/5। ट्रायंगल याद है ना, ठीक, इज इक्वल टू हाउ मच, 8। सो v ऑफ b कितना आया, 4 2 जा 8, दैट इज 10 मीटर पर सेकेंड। आर एबल टू गेट मी और नॉट। बहुत लोग इसमें क्या गलती करेंगे कि मान लो ये 8 मीटर पर सेकेंड दिया हो ना, तो वो लिख देंगे v ऑफ b इज इक्वल टू 8 cos 37। ऐसा भी तो लिख सकते हैं ना। लेकिन ध्यान से देखो ये क्या आएगा, 8 इंटू 4/5। सो दिस इज परफेक्टली रॉन्ग। बेसिकली block is not moving, thread is moving, so that's why velocity of b is generated. So velocity of block along the direction of thread I have to take, remember that. What we have to take, velocity of block along along the direction of thread। अभी तुम्हें सेकंड रूल बताया था ना, जो सेकंड ब्लॉक है होगा वो किधर की ओर चलना स्टार्ट करेगा, थ्रेड के डायरेक्शन में। जो सेकंड ब्लॉक रहेगा हरदम किस डायरेक्शन में चलेगा, थ्रेड के डायरेक्शन में, ना कि अपने डायरेक्शन में। आर यू एबल टू गेट मी और नॉट, इज दैट क्लियर। लेट अस सॉल्व वन मोर प्रॉब्लम, डू दिस, इज इट विजिबल नाउ। You have to find the velocity of block p। You have 2 minutes। बना। v into cos 37 is equal to 10। think once again। अच्छा, एक एक बात बताओ, सुनो जरा, ब्लॉक चल रहा, तो इस ब्लॉक के वन सेकेंड दो कंपोनेंट आएंगे ना, एक इधर और दूसरा कौन सा, परपेंडिकुलर टू द थ्रेड। ध्यान से देखा जाए तो इफ दिस इज 53, then this angle, the vertically opposite angle will be also how much, 53। 53 होगा ना। 1 minute, let me just draw this। ठीक है, तो ध्यान से देखो, तो बेसिकली इफ दिस इज 53 मींस दिस इज लाइक दिस वे, this is 53 and that is 10। So this angle also should be how much? Is that clear? Yeah, so basically this angle is also 53. So what is the actually direction of thread? It's not 10, it is how much? 10 cos 53. Yeah, because 10 sine 53 is never ever along the direction of thread, isn't it? So velocity of my thread is velocity of A into cos 53, which is 10 into cos 53 is how much? 37, 53, 3, 4, and 5. So cos 53, 3 by 5, isn't it? So that is how much? 6 meter per second, isn't it? So this velocity of thread is nothing but 6 meter per second. So this thread will be pulled with a speed 6 meter per second along this direction or not. This velocity will be how much? 6 meter per second. Velocity of block B is towards this side. Once again, the velocity of block B along the direction of thread will be V cos 37. That should matches with the velocity of thread, isn't it? So VV into cos 37 is 4 by 5. That is equal to velocity of thread, which is how much? 6. So velocity of block B becomes how much? 6 into 5 by 4, which is 10 by, sorry, 5 threes are 15 now. 15 by 15 by 2 meter per second. Understood? Always think the block's velocity, thread's velocity, where my thread is going, what's the velocity of thread? मेरी बातें समझ में आ रही हैं? एक डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चन ट्राई करें फिर। चलो बताओ क्या होगा। बोल रहा है फाइंड द वेलोसिटी ऑफ ब्लॉक एज shown in the figure where the velocity of the ring is mentioned to you. This is my split ring. इसका नाम क्या होता है? स्प्लिट रिंग। मतलब किसी रॉड के ऊपर एक फ्रिक्शनलेस रिंग लगा दिया तो उसको बोलते हैं स्प्लिट रिंग। अभी अपन फ्रिक्शनलेस, सारा चीज अपन क्या पढ़ रहे हैं? फ्रिक्शनलेस अभी पढ़ रहे हैं ना। मतलब म्यू की वैल्यू कैसी है? 0। बताओ क्या होगा? 50/3 cos, correct. Look over there. If I just see, if it is 50/3, then the particular thread, the ring's velocity along the direction of thread is how much? 50/3 cos 50. So basically velocity of thread is how much? 50/3 cos 50. Cos 53 is how much? 4 by 5, isn't it? 3 by 5. Okay, so 50 into 3 into 3 by 5. That is how much? 10. And you know that every point is going to move with the same velocity. So this A is going to go down with how much velocity? If you see this, this is a question of H.C. Verma. Okay, if you see into that, this problem is done in almost half of the page of H.C. Verma. But with this constrained motion, we can do it in how many ways, how many steps? Just one step. Are you able to get me or not? So this is how the constraint motion, basically it is nothing. It is just the analysis of NLM what we are doing. But it makes to solve the problem very very easy. मतलब अगर देखा जाए तो इसका basic use क्या है? It makes our problem, हाँ, with the governing rules I can make my problem to be understandable, much more physical approach, much more मतलब ऐसे practically देखा जाए तो बहुत ज्यादा आसान हो जाएगा, है कि नहीं? इज दैट क्लियर? चलो आगे बढ़े। अब देखो, तो अपन जब इसको कंप्लीट कर लिए तो अपने पास एक सेकंड फॉर्मेट आता है। मतलब अभी तो अपन ने फर्स्ट फॉर्मेट पढ़ा था कि सर अगर, हाँ अगर ध्यान से देखो, स्ट्रिंग कांस्टेंट का एक फर्स्ट फॉर्मेट था। फर्स्ट फॉर्मेट क्या है कि स्ट्रिंग जो है, सॉरी 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 मिनट, आई थिंक इट इज करेक्ट नाउ। हाँ, यस। सो बेसिकली स्ट्रिंग अपन ने क्या पढ़ा था कि अगर स्ट्रिंग फिक्स्ड है, अपन की स्ट्रिंग कैसी है अभी? फिक्स्ड, मतलब it is fixed between the two blocks. Are you able to get me or not? Now one thing is there that we have the second format where the string can also have some velocity in upward or downward direction. Are you able to get me? Means the pulley can have it. Okay, so what we are considering, let's suppose we have one pulley. Okay, this is my pulley and I attach this pulley with the two threads. Okay, but what I'm doing is I'm just moving this pulley upwards. What I'm doing, I'm moving this pulley upwards. Are you able to get me or not? So what we are going to do, we will see the derivative approach of this. Let us do a derivative approach. Means we'll see how actually it happens. Then it will give us a clear idea. So let us consider that this time I have a pulley which is attached with the two threads. Okay, and with this I attach two blocks. Is that clear or not? I took one block and then let us consider one right one. I attach two blocks over here with these threads. Now the question arises that what will happen? Like I just made my pulley to first move, okay, and then let's suppose I did one thing. As I know that one of these two blocks will be heavy, so they will move here and there. But with that also a pulley is accelerating upwards or moving upwards with some kind of velocity. Is that clear or not? So this is my pulley. This is my threads. Let us consider that this is M1 and this is how much? M2. Is that clear or not? And I'm considering that M2 is greater than how much? M1. M2 is basically greater than how much? M1. So let us consider that this pulley is my reference frame. What is my reference frame? The pulley. Okay. I represent it by, like I just tell that velocity of pulley is given by Vp. This represents what? Velocity of pulley. Are you able to get me? Now, I just think that let's suppose this is my thread and I call that with respect to the reference frame, this length of the thread, this part, and this length of the thread, this part is given by how much? L1 and L2. I call this as length L1 and I call this as how much length L2. Are you able to get me? Now you try to understand. If I just see L1 and L2, then whatever happens, this length of the thread is always going to be constant. That's my first rule. Length of the thread will always be what? Constant. Now if the length of the thread is constant, you think of one case. Let's suppose if I derivate this length with respect to time. So this is d by dt of L1 plus d by dt of how much? L2. That must be equal to 0 or not, because derivation of a derivative of a constant is how much? 0. Now what is d by dt of L1? It is velocity of block 1, isn't it? But that velocity, you only think that velocity is created by pulley now. So basically, this change in the length of this thread, this part, this region left part, will appear by the velocity of pulley also and velocity of block 1. Yes. So basically, I'll tell you that this velocity, मतलब ये जो mass m1 की जो velocity है, वो pulley के भी velocity के ऊपर depend करती है ना। मतलब ये जो वेरिएबल लेंथ है, मतलब अगर ये L1 के अंदर हम चेंज को नोटिस करें, क्या नोटिस करें? L1 के अंदर चेंज। तो जो भी लेंथ L1 के अंदर चेंज आएगा वो डिपेंड करता है मास M1 कैसे मूव कर रहा है विद रिस्पेक्ट टू पुली और नॉट। सो बेसिकली d by dt of L1 is nothing but what? Velocity of mass m1, velocity of 1 with respect to pulley. Are you able to get me or not? Is Yeah, it's a relative velocity only. No, you only tell me if this L1 depends upon pulley or not. If the pulley is not moving, then the length will move smoothly. But what happens with the pulley moves? Then what will happen? This variation of length will also change or not. So I call this one of P as velocity of block A with respect to pulley P. Are you able to get me? Yes. And then this is length L2. Similarly for d by dt of L2. Again, once again, the variation in length L2 must be with respect to pulley. So velocity of 2 with respect to, I call it as velocity of block with respect to pulley. Are you able to get me or not? Yes, so basically from this, if I just combine these two relation and bring it over here, I get one conclusion that velocity of block A with respect to pulley is nothing but minus of velocity of block B with respect to pulley. So this is my first relation. Are you able to get me or not? So that, yeah, so basically if A goes upwards, B will go downwards. Is that clear or not? The magnitude remains the same. Is that clear? So now let us just give a convention to them. Let us just think that V of A is going upwards, just A, and V of B is going upwards. Are you able to get me or not? And this is velocity of pulley P, which is also going upwards. So this relative velocity, I can write it as what? Velocity of block A minus velocity of pulley P is equal to minus of velocity of block B minus velocity of pulley P or not? Yes. So this becomes what? V of A plus V of B is equal to twice velocity of pulley P. Yes. And this gives you one relation that velocity of pulley is nothing but sum of velocities of block A plus block B divided by how much? 2. So this, uh-huh. Yeah, no, we can't say like that. That's not arithmetic mean. That's just, yeah, basically it's looking like average, but average is a typical different thing. Average is calculated for too many things. Average is not just a relation. Arithmetic mean is a totally different thing. Are you able to get me? बेसिकली सिंपल सी बात है, यहाँ पे जो एक्सपेरिमेंट हो रहा है वो बस एक बार हो रहा है. कितनी बार हो रहा है? अरिथमेटिक मीन का क्या मतलब होता है कि जो एक्सपेरिमेंट हम बहुत बार किए और उसमें से कोई दो रिजल्ट्स बार बार रिपीट हुआ, तो उन दोनों का सम डिवाइडेड बाय 2 इज गोइंग टू बी कॉल्ड एज अरिथमेटिक मीन. आर एबल टू गेट मी? सो यू कांट से दैट इट इज अरिथमेटिक मीन ओवर हियर. गॉट इट? इज दैट क्लियर? तो ये देखो, ये जो रूल है ये फर्स्ट रूल है, ठीक है. और फर्स्ट रूल से हमारे पास एक और कंस्टेंट रिलेशन निकल के आता है. एक सेकेंड रूल बन के आता है कि अगर पुली ऊपर चला वेलोसिटी ऑफ पुली पी से, तो वो दैट विल बी नथिंग बट द वेलोसिटी ऑफ ब्लॉक ए प्लस वेलोसिटी ऑफ ब्लॉक बी डिवाइड बाय हाउ मच? 2. इज दैट क्लियर और नॉट? Differentiated 2 time, once again you will get acceleration of A with respect to pulley P will be equal to minus of acceleration of block P with respect to pulley P or not. So then once again you get a relation of acceleration. That acceleration of pulley is nothing but acceleration of block A plus acceleration of block B divided by how much? 2. Is that clear or not? So basically this is what is called as second format. If the pulley starts to move with some velocity or it has some acceleration also, and this block has some acceleration of A and velocity of A. This block B has some also velocity of B and acceleration of B. See that all the signs are in upward direction, then only we are able to write the formula that V of P is equal to V of A plus V of B divided by how much? 2. And velocity of sign means I'm taking all the conventions in up. Actually, V of B should go downwards. Are you able to get me or not? But I'm taking it upwards so as to have this sign convention of positive sign, that all the upwards are positive. Are you able to get me or not? All the downwards are negative. Got it or not? So this is acceleration of pulley P will be nothing but acceleration of block A plus acceleration of block B divided by how much? 2. Are you able to get me or not? So these are the two relation which appears from the first constraint motion. First constraint relation that the length will remain always same. Is that clear? Are you able to get me? Totally. So let us bring some questions regarding this. Let us bring one first question. Try to do it. The pulley goes with 10 meter per second. Block A acceleration if you have to find. If the point B is attached to the ground. Tell me what will be the relation? Yes. 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 A is how much? 20. Very, very good. Awesome. Basically, if this B is joined, so velocity of B is how much? 0. So it becomes B of P is equal to B of A plus 0 divided by how much? 2. So B of A becomes how much? 20 meter per second. Try to do next question. Today is a question day basically. One concept, too many questions. And this will be the relation. Isn't it's how much? 15. This let's see. Let's see. So this is V of A plus V of B divided by how much? 2. V of P is how much? 10. Achha, V of A is how much? 5. But it is in which direction? It should be what? Negative plus divided by. Yeah, so that's the mistake. Okay. You have to take the sign convention always. Downward is negative, upward is what? Positive. So 20 plus 5 is equal to V of B, which is nothing but 25 meter per second. Are you able to get me or not? Many people will think if this is going with 5, what was the previous intention that this will also go by 5, but actually it is going with how much? 25. Is that clear or not? If the pulley will be fixed, then it will only go with 5 upwards. Is that clear? चलो एक और क्वेश्चन बनाओ. Yes, now you do it. Yeah, there are so many pulleys. Hmm. Yeah, that is C is going with 8 meter per second upwards. Just give me 1 minute. बताओ क्या होगा। हाँ हाँ हाँ। That's so simple. You have to think, apply the concept, take 2 minutes time, think. What can be that? अच्छा I do not know. Let me check. Let us first solve, then we'll check. Now, if A goes with 2 meter per second upward, B goes with 5 meter per second downwards, then E will have some velocity that we know, isn't it? This pulley, let us consider, let us suppose that it goes upwards. So I call it as V of E. So V of E will follow the relation V of A plus V of B divided by 2, isn't it? V of A is 2 upwards, so positive, plus V of B is downward, so minus 5 divided by how much? 2. Divided by how much? 2. So basically you got velocity of E, that is how much? That is minus 3 by 2 meter per second upward, isn't it? Yeah. So if I see, let us also consider that V of F is also going upwards, isn't it? So basically, if I'm just assuming that because I know that sign conventions will tell me the exact answers what these blocks are doing, isn't it? Okay. So let us imagine that V of F is also going upwards. So basically, I call this as pulley P. So I can write even the relation of pulley P that it is nothing but it is attached to two different masses V of divided by how much? 2. Isn't it? Got it? So the answer go V of E is how much? Minus 3 by 2. I have to find V of F divided by how much? 2. And V of P is upwards, which is how much? 7. So basically V of F is how much? 14 plus 3 by 2. That is 14, 2 is how much? 28 plus 3. That becomes how much? 31 by 2 meter per second. And that is upwards. That's so correct. No problem. Is that clear or not? Then I can write V of F for this pulley. V of F is equal to V of C plus V of D divided by how much? Two. These two blocks, isn't it? So look over there. V of F I got 31 by how much? 2. That is equal to V of C 8 to 2 cancel. Yeah, so this implies V of D is equal to how much? 31 minus 8, which is how much? 23 meter per second. Are you able to get me? This was nice. Ready for next one? Next one is also very, very nice. Do it. I told you, next one is also very, very nice. Yes, that's a block. बताओ क्या होगा। हाँ हाँ हाँ। टॉप वाला पुलिस फिक्स्ड, करेक्ट। बताओ क्या होगा। अच्छा, तो ध्यान से देखा जाए, चलो बहुत हो गया टाइम। तो सोचो जरा इसमें हो क्या सकता है। अच्छा, ब्लॉक कितने स्पीड से जा रहा है, 10 मीटर पर सेकेंड। यस। तो पॉइंट ए, पॉइंट एच, पॉइंट एफ, तीनों तो इस ब्लॉक से अटैच्ड है ना। तीनों की रफ्तार कितनी, 10। बात करता हूँ, क्वेश्चन बन गया। बन गया। 10, 10, 10। अब लगा दो फर्स्ट इक्वेशन पुली डी और पुली पुली बी के लिए। मान लो ये पुली 1 है। शिट। 1 minute, I think light went, the network went down. Hello, hello, hi. Sorry, suddenly the light went down. Uh, yes, in India it's a very, very big problem. No problem. Now, we were on this question, we were doing this find the velocity of point G, isn't it? So, basically सिंपल सी बात है, हर पॉइंट की वेलोसिटी मान लो ये पुली 1 है, तो पुली 1 के लिए इक्वेशन क्या लिखूंगा, पुली 1 वेलोसिटी ऑफ पुली 1 is equal to, two things will appear, velocity of A प्लस velocity of पुली, मान लो ये पुली सेकंड है, ठीक है, ये थर्ड है। ठीक, तो ध्यान से देखो, तो फर्स्ट जब पुली कंसिडर करूंगा, तो फॉर दिस फर्स्ट पुली This is one of the point I can consider, and this is one of the point I can consider or not for the thread equation. So that will become what? V of A plus V of second pulley divided by how much? 2. V of 1 is going to be 0. So that means V of 2 is nothing but minus of V of A, isn't it? Because first pulley is my fixed pulley. So that becomes what? V of 2 becomes how much? If it is 10, then let us consider that V of D is going upwards. It is what? Going upwards. So now if you look over there, then V of A is downwards. So basically it will be what? Minus of minus 10. That becomes how much? 10 meter per second. Are you able to get me or not? Just assuming that. Is that clear? So that our sign convention matches. So that our sign convention, that's the rule. Sign convention should match. Is that clear? Okay, now if I look for the second pulley, that's going to have an attachment with the this point and this point. So I can write V of 2 is equal to V of H plus V of 3 divided by how much 2? V of 2 is how much? That is 10 upwards, but V of S is minus 10 downwards plus V of 3. I have to calculate once again. Consider this is going upwards. V of 3 is also going upwards. Okay. So that is divided by how much? 2. You got once again V of 3. Basically, that is how much? 20 plus 10. That is how much? 30 meter per second. Isn't it? Now I can add with V of 3. If I consider V of 3, then I have once again 2 points, this F and G. So V of 3 will provide you the relation for V of F plus V of G divided by how much? 2. V of 3 is how much? 30. V of F is once again minus 10 plus V of G divided by 2. This implies that V of G goes upwards with a velocity of how much? 70 meter per second. How much? 70 meters per second. Is that clear or not? Yes. Is that clear perfectly? Okay. Can I move ahead? Okay. Let us see what's next. So next is the third format. So we did two formats, but the third format has a special case. Now, like means the question is that I can have many threads, many pulleys. Now if I go with many threads, many pulleys, this all these cases, so many equations will appear and so much time taken it can be, isn't it? So then the problem arises that how to do it in a very simplest way. Okay, so the question as to how to do in simplest way is going to be given by third format. Okay, the third format is nothing, just a many pulleys and many thread system. Are you able to get me? How to understand that I have to apply third format? There will be many pulleys plus many threads या single threads भी हो सकता है ना, many pulleys लेकिन रहेगा वहां पे. Are you able to get me? Then the first rule how to do that is to select the longest string. How to do that? Select the longest string. You have to select basically a longest string. In the given problem which contains the point of which velocity or acceleration is to be find out. मतलब उस string को select करो जो सबसे लंबी हो और उस string के अंदर जिस भी point की velocity निकालनी हो उसे तुम्हें consider करना है. Are you able to get me? Yes, now the second step is to mark all the points. What kind of marking? Mark all the points which are in the contact. ठीक है, जैसे ही तुम longest string consider करोगे string का, तो वहां पे बहुत सारे points ऐसे होंगे जो contact में होंगे, है ना? जो real bodies के साथ कैसे रहेंगे? Contact में, जैसे block के साथ हो गया, pulley के साथ हो गया. तो ये सारे point क्या कहलाएंगे? Point of contact. So mark all those point of contact like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H or something like that. Is that clear or not? Now think of one case. Now अगर मान लो ऐसा हुआ कि अगर मानता हूं मैं कि ऐसा थ्रेड है, ठीक, और इस थ्रेड के ऊपर दो पॉइंट्स है, एक पॉइंट ए है, एक पॉइंट बी है. आर एबल टू गेट मी और नॉट? सो अगर मान लो ये पॉइंट ऑफ कांटेक्ट इस थ्रेड की वेलोसिटी को बढ़ाएगा तो इसको हम क्या कंसीडर करेंगे? पॉजिटिव. क्या कंसीडर करेंगे? If it increases, हाँ, इफ इट अगर 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 वेलोसिटी के टर्म्स में याद नहीं रखना है तो ध्यान से देखो, अगर ये पॉइंट ऑफ कांटेक्ट की वेलोसिटी ऐसी है सच दैट द लेंथ इज गोइंग टू इंक्रीज, सच दैट व्हाट विल इंक्रीज, length will increase, then I will call that particular point to have a which kind of velocity, positive velocity. कैसी velocity? लेकिन अगर पॉइंट ए को देखो, अगर पॉइंट ए की वेलोसिटी सेम उसी डायरेक्शन में अगर हो तो सोचो जरा क्या होगा। अगर पॉइंट ए की वेलोसिटी I have in the same direction, let's suppose I call it as velocity of A, look over there, this velocity of A is going to decrease the thread or not decrease. You only think if something will be pushing from behind, so this thread length will going to decrease or not. Yes, so then this velocity is going to be what, negative. So you have to always remember that for any point of contact, if the point of contact's velocity is going to increase the length of thread, if point of contact velocity increases the length of thread, then that velocity of point of contact is positive, otherwise vice versa. Is that clear or not? Totally understandable है ना? तो एक 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 एग्जाम्पल करते हैं इसका, है ना? जैसे मान लो, कैसे मान लो, हाँ ठीक, मान लेते हैं कि एक दीवार है, सॉरी मैट व्हाट आई राइट, मानता हूँ एक ऐसे, ओ शिट, इट्स नॉट गुड आइडिया. Okay, so let us consider that I have one fixed wall. Is that clear? Is that clear? So this is my fixed wall over here. Got it. And in front of it, what I'm doing is I am attaching some pulleys over here. Okay, so this is my one of the pulley which will be attached. Okay, so let us think. This is one of the pulley which I attached over here. Got it or not? And this pulley is attached with a block. Got it or not? This pulley is attached with a kind of a block which can move easily over here. Got it? So let us suppose that this block can move perfectly in a much more easy way. Is that clear? Now, let us imagine that this is also attached with one of the pulleys attached with the block. Got it or not? Okay, 1 minute. Let us just make it uniform. And then I have one more thread. Okay, it is attached with one more pulley over here. Is that clear? Are you able to understand me? And then this is attached, this pulley is attached with this thread over here. Are you able to get me? Again, once more thread, and this is attached with a block. मजा आएगा तुम्हें क्वेश्चन बनाने में, एकदम मतलब फील आएगा. This is a wall, rigid wall, which cannot move, means its velocity is how much? Zero. I accelerated this block with some kind of velocity or acceleration. Call this as velocity as 10 meter per second. Right or not? Then question is, find the velocity of block of mass m. Find the velocity of block of mass m. बताओ क्या होगा। अच्छा क्वेश्चन है ना, इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन। अच्छा देखो, अभी 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 थर्ड फॉर्मेट काम आता है। अच्छा, थर्ड फॉर्मेट ने बोला सबसे पहला जो है लॉन्गेस्ट थ्रेड को कनेक्ट करो, जो ब्लॉक की वेलोसिटी को कनेक्ट करता है, जिसकी पूछी जा रही है। तो लॉन्गेस्ट थ्रेड अगर ध्यान से देखूं तो लॉन्गेस्ट थ्रेड है कहां से, यहां से लेके ऑल द वे इस वॉल से अटैच्ड है, एक ही थ्रेड है ना। और दूसरी पॉइंट, उसने दूसरी पॉइंट बोली कि बेटा एक काम करो, उसके बाद पॉइंट ऑफ कॉन्टैक्ट जितने सारे हैं ना उनको मार्क कर दो। तो पहला पॉइंट ऑफ कॉन्टैक्ट ये हुआ, दूसरा पॉइंट ऑफ कॉन्टैक्ट ये है ना, तीसरा पॉइंट ऑफ कांटेक्ट ये। अगर सेम है तो मतलब ये थ्रेड सेम है, इसलिए मैं एक ही मान लेता हूं, है कि नहीं, या मान लो अलग अलग मान लो, ठीक। चौथ तीसरी पॉइंट ऑफ कांटेक्ट ये, तीसरी पॉइंट सॉरी, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 और 8, कितने पॉइंट ऑफ कांटेक्ट हुए, 8। मान लो ए बी सी डी ई एफ जी और एच। ध्यान से देखो तो जो भी पुलिस वॉल के साथ अटैच्ड है उन सारे की सारी वेलोसिटी जीरो होगी ना, क्योंकि वॉल तो मूव नहीं कर रहा है ना। तो पॉइंट एच का वेलोसिटी ऑफ एच, वेलोसिटी ऑफ बी, वेलोसिटी ऑफ सी, ये सारे पॉइंट्स की वेलोसिटी क्या हो गई, जीरो, क्योंकि ये सारे पॉइंट्स क्या चीज के साथ अटैच्ड है, रिजिड वॉल के साथ। यस। अब ध्यान से देखो, तो अगर ये ब्लॉक इधर चलेगा तो यहां से डी भी आगे की ओर खींचेगा ना, और जो भी वेलोसिटी यहाँ पे इसकी होगी 10 मीटर पर सेकंड, सेम एग्जैक्ट वेलोसिटी पॉइंट डी की होगी या नहीं होगी। Velocity of b is zero, of course it is zero. Why? Because the velocity of b is basically attached with the fixed pulley or fixed wall over here or not. So that pulley is not moving, this pulley is neither going towards right neither going towards left, so that's why its velocities are always how much, zero. Any point of contact on that particular pulley will be how much, zero. But these point of contacts, look over there, as the block moves the d will be pulled towards the right or not, and with what no, no, will not come on that. Will come on that later on. So velocity of d becomes how much? 10 meter per second. Is that clear or not? Okay. Ah, okay, okay. I thought you were saying about b. Now, point. Yeah. Now, the point E is not getting pulled towards downward, neither it is getting pulled towards right or not. So basically, it has a tendency to go upward and downwards, but it is not getting pulled towards that. So velocity of E along the right has become how much? Zero. According to the block, velocity of E becomes how much? Once again, zero. Are you able to get me? Because it is not getting towards right, neither it is getting towards left. What you have to see is, मतलब हम ऐसा करेंगे ना कि ये जो पॉइंट ऑफ कॉन्टैक्ट्स है ना, उनकी वेलोसिटीज इनके ब्लॉक के थ्रू कंपेयर करेंगे, क्या चीज के थ्रू, ब्लॉक्स के थ्रू। आर एबल टू गेट मी, इज दैट क्लियर। तो देखो वेलोसिटी ऑफ ई क्या हुआ, ई तो ना, तो ई की टेंडेंसी क्या है, ऊपर नीचे जाने की है ना, लेकिन ब्लॉक किधर जा रहा है, राइट और लेफ्ट में, तो वेलोसिटी ऑफ ई बिकम्स ऑटोमेटिकली हाउ मच, जीरो। इज दैट क्लियर। Now similarly if I go for f, f is once again has a tendency to go up and down, so velocity of f also becomes how much, zero. Is that clear? And now if I look at point G, the point G has a tendency to go right and left. So यहाँ से अब आएगा, once again point G will be trying to pull towards the right. So velocity of G becomes how much? 10 meter per second. Now look at this point D and G. So if I look at point D and G, D is going to increase the length or not? ध्यान से देखो तो, और G भी increase in length करेगा ना? Yes, yes. So basically that's why they are positive. कैसे हो गए ये? Positive. और याद रखो एज द लेंथ ऑफ द थ्रेड इज ऑलवेज कांस्टेंट, सो क्या होना चाहिए, सारे पॉइंट्स ऑफ कांटेक्ट की वेलोसिटी उस पूरे थ्रेड के ऊपर कैसी होनी चाहिए, जीरो होनी चाहिए, सो दैट सच दैट द लेंथ ऑफ द थ्रेड विल नेवर एवर चेंज। बोलो हाँ या ना। Plus v of g plus v of h becomes how much? So zero. So the length of the sum of all the velocities on that thread becomes how much? Zero. So अब ध्यान से देखो इसमें कौन कौन सी कैंसिल हो जाएगी, तो पहले तो b कैंसिल हो गया, फिर c कैंसिल हो गया, फिर h कैंसिल हो गया, फिर e कैंसिल हो गया, और साथ में क्या हो गया, f। तो velocity of a is equal to what? Velocity of d minus velocity of d minus velocity of g or not. So that becomes how much? Minus 20 meter per second. Are you able to get me? Yes. So A has a velocity how much? 20 meter per second. Now it is a negative sign. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ कि A will have a tendency to decrease the length or not. So that means A will go upwards. आया मजा? फिलाया नहीं आया? क्या है? कैसे स्टेप क्या होता है? पहले मार्क करो सारे पॉइंट ऑफ कांटेक्ट, ठीक। उसके बाद सारे पॉइंट ऑफ कांटेक्ट की जो वेलोसिटी है ब्लॉक के डायरेक्शन के हिसाब से लिखो, or sum of all those velocity will be equal to zero, then you will get the velocity of the required body. Are you able to get me or not? Is this clear? Totally. So we did so many things today. I'll give you one question as a homework. In I'll send you this question as a homework. You will have to do that. Okay. So try to do it and send me the solution within 10 minutes. And then we'll meet once again tomorrow. Is that clear or not? Tomorrow you do not have any kind of classes, no? At the same time. Okay, 1 minute. Let me just stop the recording.